Hey, welcome. Today we are digging into something that is really at the absolute heart of everything we do, motivation. It turns out that really, truly understanding what drives you isn't just some nice to have insight. It's a critical skill. And yeah, in the next few minutes, we're going to master it together.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? What motivates you? But this question, and you've probably heard it in just about every job interview you've ever had, can be surprisingly tough to answer well. And you gotta know, interviewers aren't just ticking a box here. They're trying to figure out what you're passionate about, how committed you'll be, and if you're actually gonna thrive in their culture. And as psychologist Rob Kendall points out, most of us, well, we kind of stumble. We give a vague, generic answer. Take the story of a manager we'll call Ravi. By all accounts, this guy was incredibly successful. But inside, he felt totally unfulfilled and he was on the verge of quitting. Why? Because his job just wasn't hitting his core motivators anymore. Things like the thrill of a tough technical challenge, feeling appreciated, and the drive to learn something new. He was just adrift, and he didn't even know why. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into why this question is so much bigger than just an interview. Then we'll unpack the core drivers that really power all of us. After that, I'm going to give you a super practical guide to find your own drivers. Then we'll get into how to talk about it with confidence. And finally, we'll see how this all becomes a compass for your entire life. So yeah, like we just saw with Ravi, this is about way more than just acing an interview. Not knowing what truly drives you, that can lead to some serious dissatisfaction, even burnout, no matter how successful you look on the outside. Getting this right is absolutely fundamental to feeling fulfilled. So, how do we even start to build a framework for this? Well, think of it like we're creating a motivation map. And to do that, we're going to pull from some brilliant minds, like author Dan Pink, who identified 3 universal drivers, and performance coach Ben Crow, who adds this really important personal layer right on top. First up is autonomy. This is just our basic human need to have a say in what we do, how we do it, when we do it. At work, this could look like the freedom to set your own priorities, or maybe it's the flexibility to work from home. It's all about that feeling of ownership. Next up, mastery. You know that feeling, right? That incredibly satisfying feeling of just getting better at something? It's the challenge that puts you in that flow state where you are so locked in and engaged that you completely lose track of time. It's the engine of self-improvement. And the third big driver is purpose. This is what connects our day-to-day tasks to something bigger. It's what turns a job into a calling. When you have a real sense of purpose, even the boring stuff can feel meaningful, because you know it's all adding up to something you actually care about. But here's the thing, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, they're only part of the story. To really get to the core of what motivates us, we have to look inward. We have to look at the mindset that's powering the whole system. And this is where the work of Ben Crow gets so interesting. He breaks it down into 3 key areas. First, there's your story, that internal voice, the narrative you tell yourself about who you are. Is it supportive or is it self-critical? Second is your belief in your own potential, seeing yourself not as fixed but as a work in progress. And finally, there's play. This means approaching challenges with curiosity and even joy, which turns out helps you learn way faster because you're not so afraid to fail. Okay, so that's the theory, which is great. But how do you actually apply this to you? Let's switch gears from the what to the how. In this next section, I'm going to give you the actual tools to go find your own unique motivational triggers. It all starts with a pretty simple 3-step process. First, you've got to become a detective of your own past. Seriously. Think back to the times you felt most energized, most motivated, most alive. And just as important, think about the times you felt totally drained and demoralized. The clues are hidden in both the highs and the lows. The truth is, we all run on a totally unique blend of motivators. What gets you fired up to get out of bed in the morning is probably different from what gets your friend or coworker going. The goal here is not to find the right answer. It's to discover your personal mix. So let's just quickly run through these common triggers. As I go, see which ones really jump out at you. Are you driven by material gain, financial rewards? Or maybe status, the prestige that comes with a title? Or is it the search for meaning in what you do? Maybe you thrive on tangible accomplishment, just checking things off the list. For others, it's pure creativity. Some people are all about affiliation, being part of a tight-knit team. Then you've got autonomy, the freedom to call the shots. Or maybe it's security, the need for stability, or power, the ability to make an impact. Which ones light you up? So once you have a sense of those triggers, you can start to articulate your purpose. And here's just a beautifully simple little formula to help you do it. It turns a vague idea into a really powerful statement. It goes, I do X to help Y so that Z. So for example, I coach leaders, X, to help them build confidence, Y, so that they can create empowered, positive teams, Z. See how that works? It's direct, it's powerful, and it's uniquely yours.
All right, let's bring this full circle. Right back to where we started, that dreaded interview question. Now, armed with all this deep self-knowledge, you're not guessing anymore. You are ready to give an answer that is authentic, compelling, and actually memorable. The absolute best way to communicate your motivation is to tell a story. And the STAR method is the perfect framework for this. It gives your answer structure and real impact. You start with the situation, explain the task you were facing, detail the specific actions you took, and then you finish with the positive results.
And I mean, just look at the difference here. A vague answer like, oh, I like helping people is fine, but it's totally forgettable. A star-powered answer, though, tells a mini story that proves your motivation. It gives them concrete evidence of what drives you, which makes it way more believable and, frankly, way more impressive.
So to wrap it all up, just remember these keys. Your answer has to be genuine. Don't just say what you think they want to hear, but it also has to be relevant to the actual role you're going for. Keep it concise. Nobody wants a 5-minute story. And tailor it to show you've actually read the job description and you know what they value. In the end, it's authenticity plus strategy. That's the winning combo. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of this whole explainer. This entire journey of self-discovery, it's not just about one interview. It is about building a tool you can use to navigate your entire career. And this really is the ultimate takeaway. This self-knowledge literally becomes your internal compass. It's what helps you choose the right jobs, make better career moves, communicate what you need to your managers, and just proactively design a life that you find genuinely fulfilling. So I'll leave you with this thought. You now have the tools to read your own personal compass, to understand what truly, deeply drives you. The only question left is, where are you going to go next?